This episode is brought to you by Fortress Fund Managers. We at INO Podcast want you to save, spend, and invest your money. And in your investment portfolio, you need to consider mutual funds. So, what is a mutual fund? A mutual fund is a way for many people and organizations to pool their money together to buy stocks, bonds, or other securities. I want you to check fortressfund.com, fortressfund.com, and get all the details. Fortress Fund. Fund your future with Fortress. This is the INO Podcast, where we all about healthy debate, honest conversation, and talking bare junk. Information, knowledge, observation. This is the INO Podcast. INO, information, knowledge, observation. Also, I know nothing. We got a man like Moz.
Yay.
Got a man like Kofi.
Yo.
Rome ain't here, but you're here in spirit, and that's the most important thing. My name is Marcus Myers, and we have a very, 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 very special guest. But that's four varies. Well, we can say that that's four varies, right?
No.
Just throwing another very.
A very special guest, right? Five varies is like Beyonce, Prime Minister.
Kanye.
But when you hear her though, your behavior will change when it comes to how you spend money.
Okay.
But I have to give a disclaimer first, right? This episode is not an ad, right? You're gonna see that she's from a company, but it comes from a good place. So earlier this year, I had a conversation with Mosey. And Mosey and I were talking about we thought that we getting old, right? And we was just saying about like we gotta start investing and thing and and like what we gonna do. And then mutual funds came up, and pension came up, a whole bunch of things. So we both said unanimously that, this is a company that we are interested in investing in. So I went online and I went to the company's website, and they have a podcast. So I was like, why don't we just bring our audience on the same journey with us about investing, spending, whatever. And then, with the election, another thing came up where somebody said in a tweet that NIS is a blessing circle. No! This is when things get more dramatic. Because obviously a lot of conversations came up about the future of young people's money and whatever. So, with that being said, all those things in mind, this comes from a genuine place. And we want you to spend, save, and invest better. And with that being said, we have the marketing manager of Fortress Fund Managers and the host of the It For Grantley Podcast, Miss Kim Howard.
Hey.
What's going on?
Going on, ain't much. How y'all doing?
We ain't bad. Hopefully we better because we can spend money better and thing.
Fingers crossed, all of us.
All right, okay. So we actually don't know. All right, so let's start there.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody said that NAS is a legal blessing circle, right? And I just want to know, is that true? So I want you to do two things for us. Can you, in a nutshell, just say what NAS is for anybody that doesn't know, right? For the few people that may not know.
Mm-hmm.
And also, what if there's any truth to that and things that young people should look out for regarding NAS?
Okay, first thing, you said that I was the marketing manager at Fortress,
Yes.
which means I'm a marketer. A very well-trained marketer,
Right.
but I've been working at Fortress for a very long time.
Right.
Okay, good. So that's my disclaimer. First and
Oh,
foremost.
okay. So does that mean that you're selling something today?
No, it just means that I am not a financial specialist.
I thought you were saying, oh, okay. Gotcha.
But what I do know is that, well, that statement kind of is at odds with itself, that tweet, because there's no such thing as a legal blessing circle. A blessing circle is essentially a pyramid scheme.
Yeah, I think it was said in jest. I do think.
Yeah. I'm just gonna break it down, right?
Right.
A blessing circle is essentially a pyramid scheme.
Right.
And so a pyramid scheme is illegal in Barbados. And so that's the first part. So it can
illegal?
Yeah, there's an act governing that.
What?
Yeah.
Since when?
2003.
We was aware of that.
I know.
I mean that I said that is
I saw it online.
Illegal?
Yeah,
That
on
you
the
mean
financials.
a pyramid scheme.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it
Yeah.
legal?
But that's not hard to believe to me, but
I mean, they're flourishing. I feel like that's just not out of the pan.
Yeah, but I guess you'd have to identify who's the first body.
Oh, okay, well, okay, cool.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
okay.
that might be the challenge, right?
Right.
So right. So a pyramid scheme is designed to essentially benefit the people that get here early.
Right.
So the people that start and say, yeah, you just gotta bring you X amount of money, and
Right.
then you gotta bring 3 more people, and then bring them X amount of money, and basically you benefit from all those people bringing in that money, supposedly. But at some point you can tap out because you might not be so friendly and you might not know nobody else. So you brought in the 2 people, but you can't find your third, or you can't find nobody because everybody else done already gone into the thing already. So there's nobody else to come in. And that's when the bottom of that starts to fall out. Or some people dishonest and didn't do what they're supposed to do, all those kind of things. So a pyramid scheme by its very nature kind of will implode eventually. And the people that would have made money are the people that were in early. The NIS does not function like that. So the NIS makes money from, yes, collecting money from employees as well as employers, because they have to contribute as well, and then investing that money.
Right.
Like the money doesn't sit down on a bank account just doing nothing.
Right.
Like they have a responsibility to invest it.
Right.
And they report on that. They're supposed to have actuarial reports published every 3 years. A pyramid scheme is not going to do that for you.
Imagine
Everybody's like, get reports. Like,
Yeah, here's an annual report on how much more people we
I
jip
am
this year.
rich.
yeah, I'm rich and you are not.
And you are poor.
I'm
poorer.
But one day you might be like me.
Maybe, jet off in this private jet to wherever.
Mm-hmm.
So by its very nature, it is not. And I think I know, obviously. So I'm being theoretical here, right?
Mhm.
But I think I know where that comment is coming from. I imagine, because people say, well, the money that they're paying in is benefiting somebody else.
Right.
But that's the whole point, is a social security
Right.
vehicle to protect people.
But okay, but tell me this though. How come they say that young people will not benefit from NAS? I think that is the similarity when they kind of made it parallel to a blessing circle, that at some point somebody is not going to benefit from the blessing circle when other people's did prior. When other people said
Mhm.
people's, yeah, that drink though, that is strong. But see, same thing with NAS, that we are putting in money to NAS,
Mhm.
but we may not benefit, but the people that are there before us will benefit. So I think that's where they saw the similarity.
Or the inequity of it.
Right.
Um,
But there's a chance that NAS may not benefit us.
I can't speak to that because I'm not an actuary. But based on, I know I've seen those reports and those concerns.
Yeah.
I think part of the problem would be the fact that we're having less children in Barbados. So therefore, the people that have to, no, seriously,
No.
people that have
Yeah.
to,
I think he was laughing because we don't have money to, because, right. But anyway, but
I would
hello,
just laugh
my
because it's true.
grandmother,
yeah.
my grandmother used to cut cane and she had 10 children.
She also could have buy land for $10,000 though.
She did not have that, poor soul, bless her.
Oh, mega grants though.
yeah, make a grass for real.
But yeah,
But yeah, so the whole thing is that people work now, contribute now, and people who are retired benefit from those contributions, right?
Right.
And then, but if those people didn't, or those people had kids, and so therefore their kids are now going into the working world and contributing. But then if you have children or people who then decide, well, you know what, I'm not going to contribute. I'm going to work for myself, and I'm barely making it with my little company, and I'm not bothering to contribute to NIS.
Mhm.
Or I actually can't find anything to do, so I am not contributing to NIS.
Mm-hmm.
Then over time, if enough of that is happening and there are fewer people contributing as well, then it would have repercussions for what money the NIS scheme can invest and then be able to pay out at a later stage. So yes, obviously, there could be a time when that, I would imagine, be a problem for us in the future. But what it says to me is, don't depend on no one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a lesson coming out of, especially the pandemic. Like one source of income is, I mean, people have said that to me before, but I kind of heard it and was like, oh, that's very nice. But like one source of income, it exposes you to that one source of income.
Right.
So if you're only expecting that the only thing you're going to live off of when you retire is NAS, then you might be putting yourself at the risk of whatever happens to NAS. But if NAS is just one of the things that you're going to be depending on, then it's like, all right.
I found that is something that but I have been thinking about the fact that, like, as I get older. Well, first of all, one thing that I think about is the fact that I have not thought about before that I'm actually gonna get old, and that
Yeah.
you
what
actually
have
need
it be
money
with
when
that
you get
old thing
old.
be?
That old thing is strange, though.
I when I okay. So when I turned 30, it hit me.
I mean, being old.
Yeah. Something
Yeah.
happened with my hit.
Right.
I remember.
I went to the doctor, right? I went to the doctor 2 weeks ago, right? I went to the doctor and I said, like, I have this pain in my legs, right? And he was like, how old are you? I was like 30. He was like, oh, yeah, that's happened. Yeah, you're like, I'm at that age now where, like, anything the genetic that our parents had, but, like, we got them things
Yeah.
now. And it's just like, I didn't take the pill or feel the pain.
Yeah.
Right.
So it hit you.
Right. So in terms of like, no, I am thinking about myself at a later age. And the thing is that a lot of people don't do that. There was a study that came out, right? And it was done using the face app that's made a little older.
Yeah.
Right. So they found that people do not think about themselves when they are older
Mhm.
and almost have the same feelings towards themselves at 70 as they would a stranger. So would you give a stranger money just because? No. It was only when they'd use the face app and saw themselves older that they then had empathy for them, that 70-year-old self, that they then would be more likely to give money to themselves at a later date. So it was like, I studied that, like, I don't really think about myself as anything more as a stranger at a later. I don't think about myself like how I think about myself today,
Mhm.
like 30 years from now. I more see myself as, like, I don't know. If you tell me that the man down the street want money right now, I'd be like, nah, B, that's my $2, dog. So, like, yeah, B. So I don't know. I feel that. And it's something that I think about a lot now. So
Yeah, but you don't. Okay, you don't think of yourself as somebody, that old guy down the road. But you've seen pictures of, like, your grandparents or something when they were younger. They've told you
Right.
stories about when they used to go to whichever parties and whatever things they used to do. And you
Yeah.
think, okay, that's cute, Gran.
Right.
That's nice. But yeah, like, Gran at some point was hot. Gran at some point.
Wait, let's just hold up 1 second. My grandmother was not. That was
Your grandfather,
grandma.
your grandfather would disagree.
You know how many first half?
My grandma,
Your
my
grandfather- your
grandma was in
grandfather-
church goer and big man. My man, nah. Boy.
Okay, sure.
Nah, like, what are you saying right now?
Nah, B.
Okay, whatever. Your granddad would disagree with you.
Wow.
What is this? What is happening
My
right now?
point is
Both
that
of you are
What don't tell me
similar
what father me?
grandparents,
What don't tell me what grandfather me? You know?
since you are here.
Immaculate conception.
But no, I think empathy really is important.
Yo.
Something that we kind of struggle with nowadays. I find
Yes,
that people don't
true.
see themselves and, like, just appreciate that at some point those can be your steps, because
Right.
I mean, I think a doctor said to me, she's like, well, if you had a 30-year-old vehicle, you would know that it needs some extra maintenance, right?
Right.
True.
As opposed to a brand new car.
Yes.
Or even a car that you bought like 5 years old.
Right.
Yes.
So you have a 30-year-old vehicle, which is yourself.
Right.
You're not getting to replace. There's no replacing any of the parts here, God forbid.
Right.
So you gotta work with these parts and make sure that they're kept and maintained as well as they can. And then if these parts are going to be with you 30 years from now,
Mhm.
then they definitely gonna need maintenance. And that's why, the cost of living at that point of retirement can be so much more expensive.
Right.
And jacked up thing about that is that is that it's harder for people, like, at that stage to have the kind of medical insurance sometimes that they need.
Correct.
Right.
But because they're now an older 60, 70, 80-year-old vehicle, they're dealing with a machine that has been operating for that length of time, then obviously more things can go wrong.
Right.
So that's why you need to have something put by to help yourself as much as possible.
Right.
Because you don't know exactly. You might be one of these people that could still be running marathons at 84.
Right.
Yeah.
They got people like that.
Damn real weird. But to tell you about the NAS though,
Mhm.
like it is all sweet and dandy to say, yeah, I feel for myself. I don't want to be old and have to not get NAS, even though I was spending a lot to get all this time or whatever.
Mhm.
But that says nothing for the people that do not care, or as you said, just ain't got.
Mhm.
And you rightfully said earlier, which is where I laugh, we are not making as much children. Like some of our grandparents was making children.
Oh yeah,
so
boy.
there
Like
was
a
a work,
pastime, boy.
there was a
I
workforce
wish that was
job,
me. Anyway.
which we don't have that. In addition to brain drain,
Mhm.
so it's like, yeah, it is really nice for me to say, "Child boy, I hope when I get 65, I could get a pension." But I think reality is, child boy, when I get 65, there will not be enough people. There is not enough empathy, care. What are the odds of me
Humans?
having
Right.
Yeah, that
yeah,
too.
that too.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Right.
What are the odds of when we are at 65, like despite our best efforts, know that it is able to hold up.
So that's why I'm saying you can't just focus on NIS. It cannot be the only thing.
So it's a blessing circle. I mean,
No, because a blessing circle won't last that long.
Oh wow.
Oh wow. Beep. I would have just said a name and that would have been so funny, but I can't say it
Yeah.
because
You know, I saw that.
yeah, because you got really. You was gonna say it too.
It's a he and he's do things.
Yeah, but yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Big up you though.
Yeah.
But yeah, right. Anyway. Anyway, moving on
Before we
smartly.
get canceled again.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Again.
Do you find so working at Fortress, do you find a lot of young people understanding the importance of saving for the future or not?
A lot of them are curious, and I think there's a sweet spot around people like who hit 30 and are in that kind of, oh right, so I finally got a job that like, or my whatever company is doing a little sign that I feel like I have something to focus with, and I have a little disposable income, or I hope to have a little disposable income in a
Right.
couple of years. I have these 2 kids, or I have this 1 child. Oh shoot, these people are expensive. These little people are real expensive.
Oh, they are.
I
you
wouldn't
know,
know, thank God.
Listen, right? You said 2 Ks and I'm gonna hurt my stomach.
think about the grandmother that had 10.
I have none. I'm cool though.
Neither do I.
Sir,
but
you're
hey,
part of the problem.
This room has 1 kid. You don't understand what I'm saying about NAS though.
Yeah, I get it.
Sorry, Kim.
but yeah, no problem. So yeah, so I think that there's definitely, and I guess that's like the millennials who are now coming into that point, and before it was the millennials, it was whoever it was just before them. But it's just around that point where people start to be like, wait a minute.
Right.
I need to be doing something else for this money. You know, like it can be like a backpack costume every year. That can't be the only thing.
Right.
Like I
Traveling
want to
every
do
year.
that, but I also need something
Right.
else.
Yeah.
I have like a human that is looking to me for at least the next 18 years. And I want to put things in place for them. Or like I realize, my aunt is getting down, and I've seen her all my life. And when I get to be my aunt's age, I want to be able to
Right.
do what I need to do for myself.
Right. What was so interesting? I read an article saying that we now people nowadays, especially millennials growing up and that are now acquiring wealth, this will mostly impact them. But we nowadays, most of the information we take in every day was in the 24-hour news cycle. So it is most of the information we take in. So 85% will be whether it be pictures posted on Instagram that day, it'll be news articles posted that day, it'll be something from white collar crime, it'll be something that was sent in a group chat and whatever. So sometimes I wonder if we as millennials are prisoners of the now and don't necessarily think about the future as much as we should because of that.
No,
We're
for
always inundated with something else happening that day because of so much
Everything is
information,
synchronized,
right?
yeah.
That is like it's hard. It's hard for people to kind of like pull themselves out of that and just think about the future.
Yeah.
You get me?
I don't think millennials are the only ones that are guilty of that. And I can think about people that I know, like sometimes when you meet older people and you're like, so you've been working at such and such for all these years, and now you get to this stage in your life and you have nothing.
You get a lot of that. You get a lot of older people.
No, not. I'm just talking about like in life,
In
and
general.
and like observing people and things.
Right.
So you had this job for all these years, but no, you spent it on like women and like wailing out and doing whatever, and you're now 70,
Right.
and no, like catching yourself.
Wow.
That happens.
Wow.
But so those people also, they were not in the 24-hour news cycle. They were just focused on the no, but whatever their no was. When I was like finished school and I was like, no, before I went to UE, yeah, because I took some time off before I went to UE. And like when it was time for me to go to UE, I remember a friend of mine, we both had been working, And when he was ready to go off to university, and I was like, yeah, how much you got saved? He was like, he got 10 grand saved. And I was like, oh, okay. And my mother asked me how much I got saved, and I was like, oh, I think
You had a
it's-
good time.
I had a blast. I used to be out 4 or 5 nights a week. I used to have outfits every week for everything that I was going to. I had a fantastic time. And my mother just looked at me like, what are you doing?
I have two things to say.
Mhm.
Firstly, like that's like kind of like the push and pull with it. You cannot take that back though. Like
I don't want to.
right, which is interesting because a lot of people like the person in their 30s doing that is kind of weird. If you get me,
Mm.
like that's not. I think we could kind of agree that like welding out in your 30s is like go home to
Bro,
your
what are
family.
you
baby.
doing, bro?
You know what I mean? So like,
Bro, go,
so there
clean
there
up,
is a
clean up and go home, bro.
there is a balance that gotta be achieved, right?
Mhm.
The second thing I wanted to say was to double back to when you said, Marcus saying, sorry, that we live in India, and you mentioned our, I don't want to say forefathers, older people
Mhm.
did the same things. You specifically said spending money for women, and like, I don't know how else to articulate this other than saying that's kind of tradition. That's kind of still living in no. That's kind of like still all they know. I feel like a lot of especially when it comes to investing, and a lot of our knowledge as I don't want to say black people, but as Caribbean people,
Mhm.
like we ain't know anything better. So it's like it's kind of like we finally got this money. What we should do with it? All we know is well, women like money. So it's like
Preach, my
I think
brother.
like
Like how all people like cosplay.
mom, mom.
That's so funny. That's so
But,
funny. That's so funny.
But right, so it's like there was a lack of education. So I think people were still living in the know. It was still the 24-hour news cycle. It's like it may have been a very short news story. If the woman was saying, "You got money," one and one is two.
I don't know. I don't subscribe to that kind of approach. And I mean, I say like spending money a minute. I mean, like people who like make supposedly in a committed relationship.
No, I don't
But
necessarily mean prostitution.
kind
by
of-
the way. I just mean like in
What,
general.
what are you talking about?
You said you don't
Slow down,
subscribe.
I'm talking about people that felt it impossible to have one stable partner, and so in order to have
Okay.
the 15
wow.
partners both the place, that felt they
No,
had to
no,
do
Don't
her
you have a respectable
sentence,
show?
her sentence thought she had me confused.
No, but I was totally understanding what you.
When you say don't subscribe, I was like, how you don't subscribe to
No,
the
I-
Bayesian norm? A man and two women?
I'm talking about two.
Tell me something. So Kofi, have you fallen victim to that in terms of your spending? Do you spend a lot of money on like just events, occasions, women,
Um,
etc.?
The things that I could think of, not events for sure, not women for sure. Sorry, actually. And it's like not necessarily like clothes or anything like that that the typical person would do. I find like I like tech, I like technology. So I could tell you there are mostly like one of my VR headsets be. I use that about five times. But I enjoy the 5 times I'm using it. And that was like a period of time where it was hype when I bought it. And that was a period of time that I cannot necessarily I cannot relive that moment in time tomorrow. So for me, it's be like you gotta strike a balance in between, which I don't have. Wait. You gotta strike a balance in between spending money wisely and enjoying,
Right.
which I find a lot of people our age don't necessarily. If you speak, there's a guy that I know that like he has no personality. He has, and I can be real. The man, he is not. He is not a human being. He is an NPC dog. Like the man is just top of his house, top of this house, top of this house, and his house ain't built yet. This is a fantasy. This is something
He's envisioning it.
right.
Right.
But do something else. Cause when he gets his house, what next?
Then you
Right.
talk about his other host.
She's on, boy. I ain't my house. I ain't this chair. I have 3 bedrooms, But I don't know. I just
I
don't like.
understand. I understand.
Right there, you gotta strike a balance at some point
I-
in between the two.
I feel like sometimes too that people think that striking the balance like is harder or calls for more than they might think
Yeah.
they may be
Right.
willing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I remember there was a point when I was like lamenting the fact that I wasn't saving anything. And my sister was like, how much money you spend on like coffee and things on a week? And I was like, that ain't nothing. That
That
ain't the
can't be
money, that ain't the
nothing.
money.
Right.
And she's like, I want you to work out how much you spend. So I sat down and I worked it out. And then I started putting that money in an account, like just that money in an account by itself.
Did you remember how how much it was? Like
It was like $47.
$47 a week.
Yeah.
Good grief! So that basically, like, well, 160 a month. Wow, that is.
But you don't think
I
like,
don't
you,
think about
like,
that.
and you
I
don't think you don't think about it because I was just like, I ain't going.
Yeah.
And this was the years back, and I just said, okay, fine, I hear you, and I worked it out, and I threw in money like for foolish snacks I'd like to buy, and like yeah, so I put that money on an account that was by itself.
That's me and lunch money. I didn't realize
But you
how
gotta
much.
eat lunch.
I
You
thought
gotta
you
eat
were gonna
lunch.
say protein powder.
that too, but but in terms of lunch, I didn't realize how much my lunch money would amount to until I started really thinking about my
Nah, it's
money
crazy
because of
though.
honestly because of the things that happened because of the war and stuff,
Mm.
right? Then I realized that like a $15 here
Mhm.
and a $15 the Wednesday, and then a 15. I know at $45.
Mhm.
I then multiply that by 4,
Mhm.
and then in a month I
Mhm.
spending like close to $200 on
Mhm.
food. When I could just, if I just buy from the supermarket one time,
Mhm.
and then it's like I don't think about the how it just accumulates over time.
Right.
It does.
And so, I mean, I'm not just so thinking about that. Like, if you just put the money down alone, if you just put it in a tot in the corner and just threw the money in there, it accumulates over time.
That
Right.
discipline's so cute. The thought that thought is such a sweet idea.
Well,
I can
hold up.
I
That's
guess not-
that's
not-
the first option.
Right.
If you put it on a bank account where it earns
Nothing.
1%.
Let's be real.
0.01%,
The
it's
percent.
still more than whatever you had, and it's still more than like you think, oh, I don't got a lot saved, but like the $45 a week and whatever you throw that together and put down an account is still earning something. If you invest it, you can take it even further potentially. So I think people think that like, well, in order for me to save anything of any significance, I'm talking about NAS, I'm talking about like pension and retiring and all that kind of stuff. But I ain't really got that lot of money, so I can just enjoy my money now. No problem, but it's not. But you could spare $50 here. You could spare another $50 there.
Right.
Can you spare $100 a month? Can you? Can
Mm.
you find out of the things that you spend money on, the things that you don't necessarily need? Yes, obviously need to eat lunch on a day.
Right.
But maybe today you would skip the $15 that you were gonna spend and like bring something to work
Hmm.
that
I
you have
think it's
home.
difficult to pinpoint those things though.
Oh, it's difficult. That's why you have to like literally create a list.
Right.
Mm.
Like, you have to take account of yourself because like Marcus said, like if he didn't realize how much he was spending, but when you start to like if you start to write down today and Monday, or just do this for a week. Monday, what I spend money on? I stop by Automart and I buy this, I buy that. I bought this for lunch, and then I gave my friend $5 to go and buy me a lotto ticket or something. I don't know, like whatever you do. And then like the Tuesday, I spent this, this, and this. And if you add that up, you're like, so you have a list of all the things, and you're like, I actually don't need to do that every week. I could do it once a month. So okay, so that gives me how much? What wiggle room does it give me? Because it also allows you to know, for example, like when the gas price is going up. So then you know, like, all right, well, technically, I hate this, but there's wiggle room because there's money that I spend on a week I don't have to spend. So if
You
it
can
goes
make-
up,
You
like
can shift that around.
you could shift it around.
Right.
But if you don't take an account of yourself, then you know what you could shift or what you have to save or put away or
That's
do
very
anything.
real though, because I
Yeah.
realize that everything you leave home, you spend at least $50, and I don't know,
Leave home without money. Leave your debit card and your money home.
ma'am. I want to survive, but like, but I get you. I get you 100%. Cause that was a trick that I tried to pull on myself, where I would leave home my wallet. I was being shambles. So it hasn't been working. But like everything you leave home,
Mhm.
you have to do it, right? My grandmother. This is such a dumb story. My grandmother's iPad wasn't working.
Mhm.
Stopped Sheraton. Went by Grand collected iPad. Why did I spend $40? I do not know. Like that written down way of spend thing is very real because in my mind,
They got apps too, so you could log it in an app.
I went and I buy a lunch and I went my grand and went home. But yet $40 is missing from my wallet.
Right.
And it's like, wait a little bit.
You got ambushed?
Hmm?
Somebody stole you?
Yeah.
No, I just bought other things. But it's not like you thinking you bought other
Somebody
things
was you.
because you just might share them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You.
For me, I made a concerted effort to not walk around with cash.
Mm.
That's me. That's why it's
That's saved.
That's why it's do.
saved me, bro.
That's why it's do.
I never have any cash.
You want to know why I do that though? My reason might be different from yours. For some reason, I lose the cash or I
That's
like.
not
Oh,
the
nah,
reason.
bro.
Yeah, that's me though. That's me.
No,
How,
when
you
they
don't have a wallet?
I have a wallet, but I have a stupid wallet where like you can't fit bills in it.
Oh, you go on it RFID mode.
I have an
Like a rich
airtag
wallet?
wallet where you can't like put things in it.
You need a different wallet, you're saying?
Like so, and the
a
only way
Belgian wallet.
I need a wallet that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
A
yeah,
Belgian
yeah,
wallet,
What
though.
they use.
but sorry to cut you off. Right, you
No,
say.
what I'm saying is that at one point I could not figure out where the money was going. I
Mm.
could not.
Mhm.
But I realized when I had money, it kind of did something for me, for my mental.
Mhm.
All of a sudden, I found uses for it.
You were
You,
rich.
Yeah.
you always
I
will
was
be.
like,
Right.
I was like,
Cause it's right there, you know.
yeah, and it's insidious, because I know I got responsibility. Y'all know I got responsibility.
Right.
But after then getting met, it feel like I could.
You can play though. You can play. You can play.
I
Yeah,
really gotta tell myself, look, you know what? I'm not gonna walk around with any cash.
yeah.
You know
That's
what's good
me.
about that
I-
too, Mosey? When I swipe and I get the alert from my phone and that vibration coming, I feel guilty
Chilling.
though.
Yeah.
Chilling.
That works though.
I want to ask you. You
Listen, sorry, but them remind you what you just spent.
Yeah, but
What-
it's the shift though. It something shifts.
Yeah.
Mhm.
After a while, and it's that coming of age. Yes.
Mhm.
Is being sensitive to the goings on
Yeah.
and recognizing that look, this thing is not finite. This thing. Sorry, not infinite. You
Mhm.
need
Yeah,
to
right.
you need to be conscious about it.
Mhm.
And for me, sorry to bring this up, guys, but family life,
Nah, big up-
you know,
big up your
it's,
family.
Right.
it-
Yeah.
it's coming a little sooner.
Let me ask you a question. When you with a family, is that basically a visual reminder of saving? Like so because you see, so you know how somebody will have like something like they will like get like we were just talking about becoming like 30 and we realize, oh, we getting old.
Right.
When you see your daughter every day, it's like, oh, I have a daughter that I'm raising. I can't be spending $10 the way that I used to spend $10 before. That's a sign that that's happened.
I would like to say yes, but you can find yourself slipping still.
Mm.
You can find yourself slipping still. Say, oh, well, okay, well, she good. Again,
Oh, she good with my money. She good with my money. You
No,
can
my
say,
argument- don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that. My argument almost would be like, don't you feel like treating her?
So that's a thing too. So I have to
Right.
keep her in check as well. So there's other variables.
Right.
that
Okay.
come
Okay.
to-
Okay.
to
Okay.
the fore,
Okay.
but-
Okay.
You can imagine your daughter saying, "Daddy, I want this toy," and I
Oh.
give the eyes, dog.
Yeah.
No, but
yeah.
I make
You could
an effort.
try the NO.
It's
But
hard.
she's
It's
daddy
hard.
I
baby,
can't. I
though.
can't.
It's
imagine
hard.
it,
I just
like,
don't
you
bring
know-
her.
So I've been reading a
I
lot.
used to
There,
get I used to get like a conversation before I left home. We're going to be going to XYZ place.
My
You're
heart's
going to see a
soft.
lot of such and such. You
My
cannot
heart's
have
soft, though.
everything. You can pick one thing.
this is a
My
total.
goddaughter is real cute, though. I don't know if you know that.
This is a total
This
aside,
is what
right?
y'all having fun.
My goddaughters are
I
very
just
cute.
like for me, I don't take supermarket. I do not take her.
There is something called the daughter complex, where managers who are males are more likely to pay women more when they have daughters.
What?
And that's simply
That's a
because
thing.
yeah. It's a complex in psychology because they realize what it is, because they have a daughter, they have a better understanding of what it is that women go through in society. So
Mm.
they have more of a likelihood to be sensitive to any of the things that women go through. So then they would be thinking about, salary, whatever.
You said
whatever.
when the managers have. You said when
When,
the
when,
managers.
when male managers, right? When male managers
Uh-huh.
have daughters,
what I-
right? I think it's called the daughter
Oh, when
complex.
managers have daughters, they pay women more.
They pay women who are
Okay,
who are working there more.
Right.
Right. They're more likely to pay. Yeah.
I'm more sensitive to.
Yeah. I'm more
Yeah, it
sensitive
makes
to
sense,
all
it
of
makes
I know
I guess
that.
female things. You don't think so?
I will check that out.
Yeah. It's a thing.
It was
It's a
like,
thing,
what?
It's a thing. It's a thing.
It makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. So really leave off. Okay, so we are back at. Well, I wanted to get to where we would put the money when we realize that we have some money that we can invest in something. which will lead us to mutual funds,
Mhm.
right? Right.
He said he wants to know, but here's what we're going to do.
Right. Okay. Mutual funds.
Leading question much?
I want to ask you, can you define what a mutual fund is? Because the only reason why I'm interested in mutual funds, and this is just a ridiculous thing, right?
Mhm.
Everybody that I know that has money
Mhm.
has mutual funds. So obviously they know something that I don't know.
But that's a good place to start.
Right, right. And that just goes for anything. Anytime I see somebody investing a lot in something, I'm saying obviously there is a consistency here.
Mhm.
There's something that we need to know about
Right.
mutual funds. So you can just give you a definition of mutual funds.
All right. So mutual funds is a way for many people as well as organizations to pool money together, and then that money be managed by somebody who actually knows what they're doing with it to invest it responsibly and bring you returns over time. And that's essentially it. You don't have to know any details about XYZ company and if it's a good investment or not. The hardest decision you have to make is this mutual fund managed properly? Do these people report to me on what it is that they're doing with the money? Um, is this something that I am comfortable with? Am I comfortable with the fact that because mutual funds, the value can go up and down?
Mm-hmm.
Am I comfortable with that? The other thing is that mutual funds are meant to be more of a long-term investment. So if you're thinking, your friend that building the house, well, envisioning the house, if he's envisioning the house and wants to work on it next year, mutual funds are probably not the option for him because it's meant to be long-term.
Right. It's a long game.
It's a long game, marathon, not a sprint.
Right.
So, for example, if you had invested, say, like right around the downturn, 2008, 2009, and then you took out your money because you panicked because like things just getting worse, you will most definitely have lost money. But the people that invested then and continue to invest all till now, they are very happy people.
What kind of return do you see on the mutual funds?
It depends because understand that we got something like 12 mutual funds, and the returns vary, the amounts vary, the currency varies. They're US dollar funds and
Right.
Barbados dollar funds. Our growth fund, which our Caribbean growth fund, which is our oldest and our first fund, that has, oh gosh, you asking me a question that the investment people know off the top of their head.
Like an average? 5%?
You can say
10%?
anything. On
Yeah,
it.
I mean, we just believe that.
Okay, like 1,000,000%.
Oh, then why don't we have some? Oh,
No, because I'm trying to think about. I think it's something around 8% since inception, which is like since it started in 1996.
Right.
So inception is the point. So that's why I average out. It doesn't mean that every year is 8%.
Right.
It means that some years it might be 2%, and some years it like 2021, the end of the financial year, it was 26%.
Yeah, that was huge. I remember that.
Right.
Really?
But a year before, I think it was ended at -7 or something. So
Which is not the same.
it's just not the same.
Yeah.
But the point is, that's what I mean. Like, if somebody comes in and panics and think, let me take out my money now. Well, yes, the year that it has a negative return or a low return, you will lose money. But
Which is a risk.
But everything is a risk. But the point is that over the long term, that 20 something plus the minus whatever and the 4% and the 3% all cumulatively add up to about 8%.
So okay, so
For that particular
right, for that
funds.
particular fund. Okay, I'm just trying to understand
Mhm.
what would that. So can you make an argument that a mutual fund, putting your money into a mutual fund, will be better than putting your money into a pension plan and something else?
No, not necessarily, because all pension plans are not built from the same thing. So we offer pension plans to companies. We manage pension plans for companies rather, and they're based on our mutual funds. Not every pension plan in the world is structured that way. They may be investing in other things. Maybe other things. A pension plan. Think about a pension plan as like an umbrella. So there'd be things underneath the umbrella. So people who have pension plans with us, they invest in our mutual funds. So like a mix of our mutual funds. But another company might be doing something different underneath their umbrella. So I can't say for sure it's better than. So a pension plan, like remember talk about multiple sources of income. So you got NIS. Hopefully, if you work with a company that offers you a pension plan, you definitely take it because a lot of those companies match contributions. So why would you say no to like free money? And then if you are able to invest in a mutual fund on your own, that would be 3 sources of income in the future, in addition to anything else that you might have or do.
The reason why I'm asking is because for me, I'll be honest right now on the podcast that I don't have any retirement plan right now. I have no retirement plan. I have no pension plan. I ain't got mutual funds. I ain't got nothing. I got the money I save in the bank, and that's it.
You need to.
Hopefully the money- huh?
Nothing.
So
I got
inflation.
INO podcast. that is 2 cents.
Brand-
that is two.
Brand
Negative.
That is
clap.
2
That's negative
cents.
money,
That is
bro.
no. That is $0
So
and no
It's
cents.
a labor. It's a
That is,
labor love.
that is a
It's like
labor of love.
ability,
This is a
no?
passion
For
project.
now.
This is nothing money. Not even a buster this could buy. Anyway, right? So I'm saying. So
Tell us how you really
if I
feel.
had to make. So if I had to make my first investment for the future,
Mhm.
what would you say it should be?
Not as Kim the employee, but as Kim.
Right.
Okay, so not Kim the employee, but Kim.
Mm.
Kim
Mm-hmm.
has had the benefit of working in a financial institution and has learned a lot of things and seen a lot of things.
Right, that's what I'm asking. for.
Right, that's what I tell you.
right.
So I would say, first of all, you need to figure out what it is you spend your money on, what it is that you want to.
Mhm.
Without that, I know your friend talking about house, but I don't know if you got like designs or anything like to figure out exactly what it can look like. He has an idea of cost. You need to know what it is that you're doing with your money. Because
Right.
the same thing I talked about earlier about how you need to figure out where there's wiggle room. Because then all of a sudden you realize I actually have $200 a month that I do not have to spend.
Mhm.
And actually, what people that have money say is that you spend less than you make. So, like that's one of the keys to having financial security in the
Right.
future, right? So you figure out from keeping you realize that you don't need every VR headset that you find, or that you don't need to.
I'm joking.
You don't need as much whatever it is that you prefer to buy, and you can work it out. You're like, okay, I can plan. So like I won't go traveling next year, or for my 38th birthday I want to go on a trip to Dubai. That costs X. So just like how you would figure out that costs X, if I save X amount a year, that would take me there, blah blah blah. Similarly with your retirement plans that you have not started yet, and that's fine, you can figure out, all right, ideally, I would like to have at least, I don't know, I can call it a figure, $50,000 by the end of in 6 years or 5 years or whatever. Let me try to start doing that.
Right. But okay, so in terms of noting my money and saving is cool, but in terms of where to put it, because right now I'm only putting it on the bank.
Right. So you're robbing yourself on a day.
Right. So
Explain. Wait, I want you to explain that. What do you mean?
Because essentially, no, especially with interest rates as they are, this minimum savings rates got removed in, I can't remember, like 2015 or something. So then the banks did what they felt was more manageable for them, because they were complaining that they were having to pay out a fixed savings rate that was mandated by central bank, and it didn't make sense in their figures, right? So they pay now what they believe the market can carry. Inflation doesn't care about that.
Right.
Hmm.
Right. That's a big bad word.
Right. So inflation doesn't care about, and inflation, all inflation means is that last year when you went to buy that whatever.
Yes,
VR
has
headset.
got to this.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, exactly. So whatever it is that now today it costs that much more to fill your grocery cart. Definitely another reason why to keep your daughter home and go to the supermarket.
Yeah,
Like
she's standing home.
Yeah, this okay, we're in a good
if I'll
place.
just leave me in the parking lot.
Okay, that's abusive.
You alright?
Like, do you need to have a talk about something different for money? Because that sounds wild.
No, it's like
she
I
was
just
balloon she had or
no,
something.
it's like
no, not even a balloon.
I just get in here quick and come back. No problem. I had a book.
3 hours later.
Yeah, stand up in the parking lot. Not even in car, this in parking lot. Like, I'll be right there.
No, but then anyway,
yeah.
let's go wind down and all them.
Yeah, it'll
things,
be
right?
good. Be
I-
good.
I
How
wa-
about you, Kim?
my only question was this, because this is very interesting, right?
Mhm.
The inflation that's happening now, is it better to save now or invest now? Because I wonder
Good
if
question.
investing now is even a good idea right now.
Well,
I don't know.
investing is always a good idea.
Even though like in like probably next year the money
But
is
in
not
terms
gonna
of
be-
what you,
Well, right. So it
investing.
depends on what you're investing in,
Depends
right?
on what you invest
right.
Mm.
Which-
But if
Right.
you are gonna, so we're comfortable with the fact that if you are getting paid 0.01%, but the cost of living is increasing greater than that, you are losing money,
Right.
essentially,
True.
right? Be comfortable with that?
Really?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
That
That makes sense.
Okay,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
So the right. So the other way that math can math is if you are trying to outpace inflation,
right,
which is where a sensible investment would come in.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Not the body that telling you, man, just give me $5,000 and I can sort you out.
But
I
he
can
pitched
flip
a
that,
song
man.
real good.
Yeah. You pitch your song good for
Right.
Drew.
Yeah, it can't sound good to me. I don't know. I need to see what it is. I need to have an understanding. And if somebody can break, and that's how I always feel too about Kim the person feels very strongly about people not being able to understand what it is that they're getting their money into. I don't want people to come and run and invest at the place where I work just because they hear it's a good thing. I want them to come and understand
Mhm.
how it is a good thing
Right.
and why it would work for them. If there's anything about that and I'm still don't understand it, I need to step back. Let us talk to
Study.
them some more.
Yeah.
Let them talk to some people, somebody else some more to clarify it. Because I think that's how people get in trouble all the time. And I think that's how in Barbados, well, not only in Barbados, but like people get into things that are, they sound good and they sound like,
Yeah.
you can get rich quick and
There's a lot of
they
faddism
guarantee
going on
like
too.
you cannot guarantee the return you're going to get from a mutual fund. The nature of a mutual fund, you can't.
You can't.
You can't.
But you will
Okay.
get. Do you think that overall you will get a net positive return?
Yes.
Is it guaranteed? Well,
It's
sorry.
not guaranteed.
What is the probability that it is a net
I
positive
don't
as opposed to a
know
net
what
net?
is the-
Not exactly a percentage, but I mean like the more often than not you get a net positive
Well,
over time than net negative.
So for example, mutual funds can invest in different things. They can invest in things like stocks or shares, which are things that are traded publicly in stock exchanges. All stock exchanges is a kind of supermarket for stocks. Stocks are part ownership of a company, a publicly owned company. Got a private company, got to do nice. You can invest in bonds, which is essentially a means of loaning money to somebody who needs, usually an entity that needs to borrow money. So like government bonds, but you also have corporate bonds. And then you have real estate. You have mutual funds that invest in real estate. So those are the primary areas that mutual funds invest in. So the stock market, if you look at the history of the stock market, say the US stock market, for example, and that's just one stock market, even with dips, like the 2008 crisis looked like this in terms of the history of the ups and downs of the stock markets.
Really?
Yeah. It looked like a little blip. Ain't nothing like the 1930s. It's just a little, right here. A
So
little
it
descent.
trends on the rise though.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
so
right.
the trend is usually up.
Right.
Even in 2020, and I had one of the worst like in March, when, as my bosses were saying, there was blood on the floor because the pandemic had had become a pandemic as opposed to an
Right.
epidemic somewhere in China, and the stock markets were freaking out. People were panicking,
Right.
didn't know what was happening. The markets went so. Our mutual fund, the growth fund, I think the share price went from like $7 or $6 to like 4 something. It's just like, but then it's like that actually means
And more people could buy.
that you could buy more because you're $100. If you spend $100 and it costs
Mm.
$7 versus $4, it suddenly
you get
meant
it more.
that you could own more shares. So that when the value goes back up, you've now owned
You up top.
exactly.
Oh,
But a lot of people
feel-
don't get that.
Sorry.
Mhm.
No, there was a question I was supposed to ask a while back.
Oh, yeah,
that I
sorry.
think no, we should know more about.
Mhm.
You said
Yes.
earlier is a long-term investment, right? Which that's not necessarily black and white.
7
Like,
to 10 years, anything so.
so like it is a no tying back to inflation now. So my money today, my $100 today, is more valuable now than $100 in 7 to 10 years. So
Possibly, yeah.
is the return necessarily like outpacing inflation?
Yes. Okay. So, for example, the same growth fund that the share price now is 7 enough. It started out as $1 in '96.
Oh, sorry.
So
Okay.
it was a dollar.
Uh-huh.
So essentially, it means that it's now worth 7 times whatever it was worth then.
Which is more.
Which is more.
Okay.
So, but again, like, is the idea of not getting too skittish, and understanding that ups and downs are part of the ride.
Right.
But the idea is that it's not meant to be something you're gonna go and grab in a year or two. I mean, if you need your money, that's the other thing. People be like, so I could get back my money if I want money. Yeah, we don't keep nobody money. If you want my money, you can get your money. Just know that you may have lost some or all.
So how many times do people lose all their money?
Never.
Okay.
That doesn't happen.
How-
No, it hasn't happened.
Has there any been a time that people did not get a return from their money and they were upset about it? And
Of
stuff?
course. Yeah.
How does that happen like every year?
I don't work at front desk, so I don't know definitively.
She
But
not asking for.
all the time, praise Jesus. But I wouldn't say. I think generally people are actually pleased and pleasantly surprised. I remember last year there was a lady that came in, and she was in an interesting position. She had forgot that she had money with us.
She had a lot.
She had a couple thousand, but like I can't remember if like she had moved and like the stuff was still going home by her mom, or there was something. So like I don't remember what brought her into us either. I think she was coming in to open a new account
Right.
and then realize,
Oh, everything's.
Wait, I'm rich.
so this money that I left here,
Yo.
there's no $9,000 here that I didn't remember now about.
Mm.
And I don't remember what it was that she had
The
like
initial
when last
investment.
invested, but she hadn't looked back at it in years. And so she was like, y'all made money for me? It's like,
Do you
That's
have
kind of what we do here.
yeah.
that's what we try to do.
Do you have any success stories? Like not success stories, but there's stories of people like actually getting a whopping amount that you could remember.
Every now and again I try to like look through and see like just for kicks to see like how different people have done. So like I remember I looked, there was a woman who invested in 2008. It must have been a check for like $800 and something cents. And then she was investing $50 a month. And in 2020, her balance was, and this was after like 2020 was kind of like up and down, but then ended up.
Yeah.
And it was like
Net up.
$9,000 and something dollars.
For like $800.
And that as
Well,
well
if
as
$800
the
And
other
if it,
50.
but I'm saying like $50, right? She wasn't investing $1,000 a month. She wasn't, it wasn't a big money. It was $50. I guess that's what she could manage. She's still investing today. She hasn't redeemed the money.
Right.
So, and I pulled the account and I was just like, huh. So we actually used it in an Instagram post because I was like, well, this ain't bad at all. And so I can't tell you like anybody who's had like a whopping success.
Right.
But what that said to me was that slow and steady still
Wins the
Wins
race.
the
wins the race.
I don't know.
Wow.
My math could be wrong. I
Mhm.
Be
can be real.
cynical, Kofi.
No, go for
Pull
it.
the
No, might
trigger,
be
Kofi.
real,
Drop the
but
hammer, Kofi.
$50 a month in a
Mhm.
year, $600.
Yeah.
So you said she started in 2008.
Yeah, 12 years.
12 years,
Mhm.
$7,200
Mhm.
plus 800 is $8,000. So she
Cheese
met,
on my mouth. Good boy.
No, he's excellent. I
so
was
she
ready
met,
for this
I
moment.
don't know.
Mhm.
I don't know. Not 8 years.
Drop the hammer, Kofi.
Year. I talking about the amount of time. Yeah,
12.
between 2008 and 2022,
Mhm.
$1,000 is what she really made.
On top of whatever she was saving, yes.
Oh, on top of what she was saving.
Mhm. No.
Wait,
I
I'm trying to
no.
understand.
No. Yeah. So yes, you made $1,000.
Right. So like,
on top
is
of
that
whatever. Tell me.
that much?
Well, tell me what you would make in the bank over that same period of
Nothing.
time.
But I'm just saying I'm just asking, is there got to be something else I could do that could like net more than $1,000
I want to. Are you? My question is, Kofi.
In 12 years.
in 12 years?
Are you looking for something that is like a very significant amount that you're making back, or are you looking for better than the bank? Because if relative to the bank, that is substantially, significantly better than the bank.
Right.
So which one are you looking for?
I think that $1,000 in 12 years is not that much money.
Okay.
Also, I think it's 14 years.
Yeah,
Mm.
20.
2022. You said 2020 or
20.
2020. Okay,
Yeah.
12 years.
Yeah.
Okay. No. Well, I was just asking. I could respond.
I mean, I think if you look at it from that point of view, I think that's not much. But like, how much would you have spent and not have?
No,
Right.
I value that for sure. I'm not knocking that off. I'm not saying it's a bad
Get it,
investment
Kofi.
by any means.
It's not. So this is not. And so this is the other thing too. This is not something that is going to be, as I said, it averaged out to about 8% over since 1986. So 25 years, right? This is also not going to be like, yo, I put some money in there and now I'm a millionaire.
You're nah.
And similarly, that
uh-huh.
$50 a month is not going to make her a millionaire.
It's not.
It isn't. But hey, I don't know if she also has some other thing that she's
Right.
purchased that is just one of the things that she's doing.
Right. I
So
don't know.
okay, so do you see mutual funds as like a primary investment, or is it more an investment that you should see as supplementary to all your main investments?
I think that's a question I should
That's,
be
that
asking.
is the question I
Yeah.
had.
Okay. I would imagine that it would be part of your portfolio, which sounds real fancy.
People say
I
that,
know, right? That's
What-
why I said it in that voice. Your
What
portfolio.
does that mean? What are people really saying?
It's like multiple sources of income, essentially. So your portfolio contains all the different things.
The
So it
argu-
might include real estate. You might have a piece of land that you bought a couple years back. Oh, nice. Oh, that must be nice. And then you sell it. Or that your friend like built a house and then he's and he's renting it out and he has good tenants, bless him. And you know, he
No
is
personality. Go on.
a fully tenanted property that is
Yeah.
paying more than the mortgage when the month comes.
Right.
Okay,
I can
right.
talk about nothing else.
That's okay. He's
No, it's
listed it on Airbnb. Good for him. But yeah, so I think it's part of your arsenal. It cannot be the only thing.
The argument that I believe Kofi's making is
Mm.
that if after 12 years, $1,000 is not substantial enough for it to be a investment that you could see as part of your arsenal. It's kind of like, what if I put my money in the bank and I only got like $10 back? Like that wasn't really worth it. So then, at what point is does this threshold surpass that of being worthy and unworthy? And I think what Kofi is asking is, after 12 years, is $1,000 enough to say that it is really worth it? And the reason why I'm asking you this, Kim, I think this is where a lot of people, this cognitive effort that goes into making this decision of if it is worth it, is what will make them buy mutual funds or which one will not. And I think that's where I was. Because I had a conversation with somebody about mutual funds and endowment plans, and I had a conversation about mutual funds, endowment plans, and a pension plan. I don't listen to what I was getting back after like 30 years. And I was like, big man, what is this? You know what I mean? So
well, you put in matters too, huh?
one thing that we've made clear for sure is that it makes more money than the bank, definitely, without question. And if you have money in the bank, you should also have your money in mutual funds. We've gotten past that step. The step towards though primary investment and expecting something that is worthy, I think that's where we're at now. I don't know.
Well, until you do your numbers, you don't know what's worthy.
Right.
Because the other thing is, you said, but if you have money in the bank, you should also have your mutual funds. But I would go a little further. There's money that you need to have in bank. When you need to pay a bill, you don't need to redeem money for your mutual funds. When it's time to pay your bills on a month come, like, there needs to be money there for if you have it set up as a direct debit or whatever, or you need to go online and do a transfer. Like, there needs to be money there. There's money, so there's that money. That's the functional money. I go in supermarket, I go in wherever. That's
spending money.
The spending
Right.
money. This has to be the money that you do not need to spend right now.
Yes.
That you can put off spending for a couple of years. So until you do your numbers, it don't make sense. So if you have no idea what is that you can afford to not spend right now, then it can just look like, well, I ain't really sure that any of that could work for me.
Makes sense.
And the thing is, right, I'm not like knocking it by any means, because like because I had a couple of conversations recently too, and like in comparison to a pension plan, like I don't know if it was the person I was talking to. He really made pension plan sound like a meeting turn. I do not know how if he was trying to sell me on this, but he did a very bad job.
How? Oh. Okay.
You about to tell me pension plan is a meeting turn?
No. I'll ask you.
Because it just sounded like I can take 30 years to get my money in 15 years.
Okay.
That's why the return just sounded very, very it didn't sound like much.
That's why. But I said earlier that different companies do pension plans differently, right?
Right.
So what's under their wrapper, their umbrella, might be different. So
I just
I can't
wish
speak to
there
that.
was I mean, I know you can't have safe and a lot, but it just feel like there's a middle ground that I'm missing almost. You know what I mean, Marcus?
Yeah. I get what you mean.
I don't.
Like a middle ground in between.
You mean
I'm going to lose all my money doing this one thing, and I can make $50 a year.
For me, I am
Okay.
I am past that point, and from my own research, even though, although you're here and I am aware of certain things, I made the decision that I'm going to get mutual funds, right? So I am past that point, but I get what you're saying. And we're going to get into that. And also, I want to say this, right? You were supposed to come on the show before, right? Before you came on the show, there was a time that I was sleeping and I woke up and I thought about the fact you were coming on the show and I jotted down a bunch of stuff on this paper, right? When I woke up the next morning, right, I read it and it was pure junk. And I'm going to read everything exactly how I wrote it. But in a minute, I hopefully you can answer these questions that I have here, right?
Okay.
But yeah, give me one sec. We can take a break and come back though.
Okay.
We pause this episode of the INO podcast to give you a money tip. Track all of your expenses. You can do it with an app or just make a note in your phone. Either way, knowing exactly how you spend your money can make it easier for you to plan where you want it to go. Let's all, as a team, make the right choices with our money. This money tip was brought to you by Fortress Fund Managers.
And we're back. Okay. By the way, we could speed through some of these. Some of these, nah.
Okay.
So I'll start with this one,
Is it
right?
a quiz show?
Yeah,
Okay.
basically. I was told that if I had $10, I should pay myself first $2 and then invest the other $8. That sounds like it makes sense.
Yeah, just run Twitter.
I know that you definitely should pay yourself first, but paying yourself first is also your future self, which could be investing.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not
I
pay
ain't
yourself
work- I ain't
first.
work
Not
hard
pay
for
yourself
that.
first to spend it.
How much do you think somebody should invest a percentage? I guess I'll be asking Kim, the person, not the marketing manager, because I don't think you should really think. But if you had to say like a percentage of your salary a month, how much you should invest? How much would you say?
I don't know. I think that how the investment people will probably will come back to you on that is like, what's your goal?
Oh my gosh, just give me an answer now.
Yes.
I have people answer questions with questions.
Yeah,
Lee.
I think that's part of the frustration.
Financial
too.
people are so annoying.
What?
It's
Like, what is that
do
you're
you
trying
mean
to
by
do?
I asking you a question.
Yeah.
And then,
Look,
Are
when
you
I-
asking-
when I-
and
when
I
turn-
don't-
when
I
turn
don't-
67, I want to live the same life, B.
well, I know that our pension guy says you should be saving at least 20% of your salary
I don't know.
towards pension exclusively, towards your
Really?
retirement. Yes. He says 20%.
Like nothing else at all, just pension. All right, cool.
Yeah, like 20% at least.
Like I can't get my handbrake and that's the thing.
Nah, boy. If you have my big man.
The handbrake money got come out to the 80% that left.
Nah, boy.
I'm saying, well, that's not iffy.
Okay, 20. Okay, but he said 20%.
Mhm.
You say it's hard to say.
I say that because that's one thing I know that he says about pensions in terms of like how much you should be investing out of your $10 or whatever. I can't tell you a figure. I don't know exact amount. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, if you got only $10, like
You probably need to
Increase.
Just-
that.
you gotta pray, bro.
No,
like,
no.
you gotta
First
start
thing you
from
gotta
no,
do
first.
is call your
and
mother.
that's the other. For your mother?
Yeah, you move back home.
Perhaps you never
What are you doing
left.
when you roll with $10?
Oh, that's funny. She's like, perhaps you never left.
Oh,
Maybe that's the problem.
But no, the other thing is that like yes, investment is something that you can aspire to. It doesn't
Right.
necessarily mean that you're ready for it right this minute.
Mhm.
So if $10 is what you're working with, don't make sense.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay. Next question. At what age should people start investing in mutual funds and just in general?
I would imagine it would as soon as you can, as soon as you're working and you have money. There's some people who invest on behalf of their kids and then turn it over to them when they're like adult age. Or some people know their children and they're like, I'm not giving this to them until they're 28. But as soon as you can, because the benefit of that is time, right?
Mhm.
So the more time you have, the more time you have for your money to grow
Right.
and to have greater returns over time. So time is one of those things that really is a help in investing, period. And so as early as possible. So
I-
if you have money to invest at 21, go for it.
Mhm.
I just thought of a question. It might be dumb, but it's a very serious question.
Do it.
So let me say I have I got $5,000, right?
Mhm.
And I want to invest this $5,000.
Mhm.
But every period, like every year or so, I
Mhm.
take out like the earnings. So if I was to get
So you
$50
want like a
50, like $50,000 50,
mm-hmm.
$50,050 is not what we're
Mhm.
trying to say.
Yeah.
Right, and I take out $50 every year. Is that necessarily bad?
I don't know what it's doing for you.
Me neither.
So it has to be a certain. You mean that you don't know? If
But I
it's
just I measure whole my returns, like, but not the growth on returns, just the yearly returns.
But then it means that then you go back to your principal every year, right?
So you're not really doing anything.
No, I'm taking the extra percent.
So if you gain $50 this year, you take out the $50, it means you start back the year with the same 5,000 that you started with.
Yes.
And then
you do what you're doing with that $5,000, and if it loses,
if it loses, right? Or you might make
But-
$67 instead of $50.
Right.
Okay.
So then you take out $7, so you back to $5,000 again.
Yes.
Then what you really
Then what
doing?
you really
Yeah,
doing? Cole?
Taking the dividends.
So
I
you
said from
are-
the start what I am doing.
So you're looking for a dividend payment, right? That's what it is. That's what that sounds like. That you're looking for dividends, which is a different. Well, no, they have mutual funds that pay dividends. But I don't really
How much
know.
are you saying I got? Clarify when you come with
See, we got like 12. We got like 12 different
Okay.
mutual
Alright,
funds,
then.
and I feel like my count off now, but I can't even remember for sure.
mutual funds like Pokemon, B.
Dog.
Like, every day they
Please
got another one. They
Please
got,
don't-
yeah, they got like
Please,
different.
please don't let me boss you saying that because that's real work.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. Do you think it is more okay? You said that having money in the bank is important for spending every day,
Mhm.
but is having money in the bank beneficial to saving?
Not at this time.
It's not beneficial to saving.
You
heard it
you
here
you
first,
you
guys.
well you can look at your bank statement. Is it?
Please don't remind me.
So if I had a large amount of money,
Mhm.
you prefer that I had that large amount. Not you prefer, but
Mhm.
it would be better if I had that large amount in mutual funds and a small amount for spending in the bank.
Yeah,
as opposed to the other way around.
and your small and large could be different depending on what is how much ever it is that you're working with.
Right.
But if once it's not money that you need, you don't need it right away. If you
Mhm.
say, I am planning to go and pay down on a mortgage and I have $50,000 in the bank and that's how much you're gonna pay down on the mortgage, well then it don't make sense taking that and put it in a mutual fund if you're about to do that in another
right.
year.
Well, yeah.
But if you're
Mhm.
thinking in 6 years or so, I would like to have $55,000 in addition to what I have now to pay down. Perhaps I can move some of this and see how much I will earn over that time to be able to make that move. I'm not.
But it's also not a problem if I have 55,000, the same amount of money, or
Mhm,
whatever you said,
mhm.
in mutual funds, and I want to make a down payment on mortgage. I could just take that, right?
You could
Okay,
take it.
cool.
Yeah.
Just
You
to
could
clarify.
totally take it. But I'm just saying that, like, if you're gonna do it, like, if it's gonna be money that you need right now, it doesn't always serve you to have it. It wouldn't serve you normally in a mutual fund because returns can go up or down. You may just be unfortunate to take it out at a down time
Right.
if you do it in a short period of time. But even if there is a down period in 1 year, you more than likely the following year the returns have improved,
Right.
right? Or even within the next 2 years. So if it is that you don't need the money for like another 5-6 years, then that would make sense. But not if you're gonna need it next year. That don't make
Right.
sense.
You
Now, I know these are Marcus dumb questions, but I just had a couple of thoughts on me.
Go ahead.
Yo, go ahead.
Years ago when I was doing econ,
Mhm.
one of my teachers was like, he was a very eccentric character,
Mhm.
but he will always say you should spend your money 3 ways:
Mhm.
frivolously, savings, and investments.
Mhm.
What do you think about that?
Sounds about right.
All right, cool.
But you got to then decide the proportion that
Yes,
you-
exactly.
That is
proportion.
that is what we
This
figured
man,
out.
Those
this
are the
man
details.
met 1/3, dog.
Oh, so 33%
This
for
man
each one.
met 1/3.
Okay.
That's low.
I don't know.
This man save 1/3 for money, invest 1/3, and just
Spend 1/3.
yes.
There's some people that save, invest. There's like 4. Got like these little kids piggy banks I remember seeing, and it was teaching kids the whole value of. Oh, it was like probably like charitable.
Right.
All right, yeah. Let me
yeah.
move on for real,
Nah,
because I know we're talking about. That's a sporty vibe.
Yo, this guy.
Differently though, as a child, I can't figure out why I had money and I spent it so stupid.
Because you're a child.
I used to just like
Salvation
emptying out
Army
the,
and Bear
the piggy bank and counting the money. I just thought that was the most fascinating.
Yeah,
thing.
a quarter of my money to charity. I'm not doing though. I'm just saying I'm not.
I'm not saying a quart. Well, I don't know, but yes,
A
because
quart? Wait, I don't catch myself. A quarter?
I thought you would say. I thought you said.
You were saying a
quarter.
no,
quarter,
I was saying that
oh.
these little piggy banks
Oh.
I've seen have
Yeah,
like
she
they have
said
4
that there's
sections.
there's
4 sections.
Cause
Not,
I like
not
steak.
that is a quarter.
Oh.
Come on.
But again, you would have to
Oh.
A
decide.
quarter? Yo, no.
But there's certain anyway.
Hey, you know,
There's
if
certain
you did, you
benefits.
know that if you give to registered charities in Barbados, you can claim that your
That's
tax
a
return,
write-off.
right?
Yeah.
And that's not really given to charity.
For
that's-
for individual store or only
Yes,
company?
sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Is it a certain amount or just and whatever amount you?
Once you have a receipt from the place that proves and what they do is that they upload just like how the employer uploads your
Yeah, that
information, they upload it to Brad the same way.
Whoa.
Surely though,
So
that's,
not like a woman on the street
that's
say, "Give me $5," and you give her $5, but like
what
if you
is
give,
a shepherd woman?
Take the damn. Is she a registered charity?
I don't know.
Do you get a receipt?
I got a ticket.
Okay, so the next question is, so this is a question that people will be asking because whenever you're trying to sell something to someone, even if it's something that could benefit them, they always have these questions. But
Mhm.
what are the ways in which Fortune Fund Managers benefits from my money that I give them to invest elsewhere? So, like, how would you, at the end of the day,
Mhm.
be making a profit off
Oh.
of my money?
Right. So there are management fees that are charged. Do not ask me the percentage. I do not remember out of the top of my head.
Convenient.
But it's charged. It's charged. No, So that's why I said at the very beginning, I'm a marketing manager.
I
Right,
right?
gotcha.
no, we
Gotcha. We got
No,
you.
no, but it's like it's charged across the fund. So, dang it! If I bought one of the quarterly reports that they plan to, it's right at the bottom there.
Just so you know, it's called the INO Podcast. If you don't know,
Right,
that's the
so
brand. That is the
therefore,
brand.
keep-
That is the
brand,
brand.
Keep-
Make up something.
Keep moving.
Right.
But yeah, so there are management fees that are charged. There are a couple of fees that come out of a mutual fund. Custodian fees. The custodian are the people that we entrust to have the money because we don't have your money. So the idea is that we have the money, we have to put it somewhere. So
The bank.
we have it in the bank. The bank is custodian.
Funny.
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll move on. We can just.
system.
But we have to
Babylonian
have it. So we can't put your money underneath a mattress and then say we're going to buy money in
But why
Singapore,
not?
buy funds in Singapore. So we have to have it somewhere so we can
Yes.
transfer
I
it to
gotcha.
make those
Okay,
purchases.
Okay.
Right? But right, so there's
only trusted
custodian
bank
fees.
sometimes.
We go put it
It's part of the whole
somewhere.
financial system, right?
Right.
So there's custodian fees, management fees, and the management fees are what come to us. So that's where we make our money. So
Right.
it's in our interest to make as much money for you as possible, so that
Mhm.
the person, whatever that point, whatever percentage it is a good percent.
I gotcha.
Mhm.
I want to ask you, what tips do you have for young people in general about spending, especially those who are now acquiring disposable income for the first time? I think you kind of answered that though regarding tracking all
I
your
feel
money.
like tracking your money is really useful, and you could use anything. They got apps for
We got
that.
apps,
They got
process.
spreadsheets. Like I got Google spreadsheets, grandmother.
Mhm.
Like I pull them up all the time. And then you literally use a pen and paper if you feel like. But also I feel like it's reasonable that, like, especially as start working and you don't have any major commitments, because there's some people that land in the job force and have commitments.
Yeah,
Like
that's
they
right.
they have major commitments from the time they land.
Yep.
But if you don't have major commitments, wait out a little bit.
Mhm.
Get with your system.
That's
Right.
true, no.
But know that that's not part of everything forever.
Okay.
So like you did that for a year. Come home now.
Okay.
I
Okay.
think a lot of people with commitments to see those people and think that they're missing out on like life, I guess.
I mean, yeah, that's understandable. Student revolving loan was a real albatross.
You heard
around
me,
me.
Molly said
Yeah,
that.
I said that.
But Molly said that. Me.
Like
Yeah.
that was a heavy weight around my neck. Like for a very long time. But
Mm.
how else would I have gone and do what I wanted to
Right.
do without it? So
Yeah.
it was a weight that I
Complex
carried.
and
Meanwhile, there were people that like went Cave Hill and like
And just breathing.
and
dog.
breezing and driving a nice car. And me like, yeah, daddy could borrow a car. Because
Right.
like why? Because I am paying back these people their money.
Mhm.
And I would, I don't necessarily want to do it again, but if I had to do it again, fine. It did what it needed to do. It got me where it needed to go.
Right.
And I definitely had a great appreciation for it, because then when I stopped paying it, I was like, I have money that Panama ain't accustomed having. I could do something with this.
Right.
Did you invest it?
Some of it, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So for people that are entrepreneurs though,
Mhm.
Let's talk about it.
yeah.
Let's talk about it.
For people who are entrepreneurs that don't have a stable income,
Mhm.
and sometimes
They definitely need to know their figures, because they may not have a stable income,
Right.
but they probably have stable expenses every month.
so consistently saving, but in terms of consistently investing, what would you say to someone that would have to continue making payments although they work project to project, for example?
So their consistent might be different than mine because I'm a salaried employee who gets paid every month.
Right.
But they may know that they work major projects 4 times a year.
Right.
And so they get like big fat checks 4 times a year. But they also have to figure that out, like how they can spread that out to make it last the 12 months of the year. So people like that have to know their figures. And so people like real estate agents, for example, like
Yeah.
they make money when they sell a property, you know.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
or if they rent a property, so they get the commission from that. Other than that, they are just so you have to know your figures. So you know, for example, every month my expenses total $1,000. So I gotta figure out when I get this fat check in March,
Must be nice.
how am I going to make that work until the next fat check that can come in October?
That's my life.
Right. So you have to figure that out. So you have to know what those expenses would be. So you're like, right. So out of that fat check, 4,000 done accounted for because that is to cover those
Every
months of
month.
spending. All right. And similarly, I can also leave some wiggle room in case anything happens with the car, blah, 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 blah. And then I can spare out of that, I can spare 1,000 to put down in a mutual fund or whatever investment vehicle you're using. And therefore, every 3 months I might be able to do that. Or every
Right.
twice a
Okay,
year I might
okay,
be able
so
to.
it's
So
just a
their
period.
consistency is a different consistency.
Right.
So there is nothing. So with a mutual fund, it's not like one of those things where I know there's some financial products where you have to put in money every month and then you have to, and if you don't, you default or whatever. It's not like that. It obviously serves you. It serves you to invest more frequently, because there's a whole thing of dollar cost averaging, but that's another avenue there that we can veer off of later. But the maybe not that later.
No, no,
Yeah.
sorry. That wasn't be rude. I just genuinely couldn't understand. Like,
Uh-huh.
hold on. Sorry, no.
But
Shut it.
but yeah, so but the point is that your consistency might not be the same as mine. So I might be doing smaller amounts every month. You might be doing larger amounts twice a year.
Right.
I like
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I like about it, to be
Yeah.
honest. Because that's me.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
Some months a little different.
Yeah, boy.
And I think because I can assume, and also because I was in that same place before, I was getting stable income, that because I don't know when the next project can come,
Get off
that
fire,
then
man.
makes me say, well,
Switch.
yeah. Let me just in case, and let me live life, on the safe side.
Frugally.
And this $50 that I could put into a mutual fund, I would rather say, let me hold on for this in
Just in
case
case.
I gotta start eating oats. And
Actually, that
We
brings
call
a
it the
good
holy
point, and
boxers.
it's probably going to be a very short question, but
Mhm.
like, we talking about don't invest your money if you need it tomorrow. But like, how difficult is it to like get about your money?
You call us, or you do the strange thing called a fax, or
The year of our Lord 2022.
or you email us your
Better.
redemption form. I'm
Uh-huh.
just telling you their means.
Right.
You could even walk in the office with said redemption form
With my feet.
with your feet. You know, you can do that. Drop it off and say, yeah, I want out of my money, I want all, or out of my money, I would like $1,000, please, or I want 50 grand, how much ever it is, whatever it is out of your money, and that check is ready for you by redemptions are done paid out on Mondays. So
So like a week.
basically, well, if you come in the
Interesting.
Friday,
You
then you'll get
each
a couple.
month,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
But and that the reason for
And
that
once a
is
week.
because most of the mutual funds are the value of the funds is calculated weekly on a weekly basis. So those NAVs are calculated between Friday and Monday,
Right.
and then we're paying you based on the value at that point at that
Right,
date.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you come in on Tuesday, you will be getting it based on the Friday, coming Friday's calculation.
Okay.
So it's not hard to get your money.
That is good to know. So here are a few of my
I see a
takeaways.
piece of paper going with the
Like, oh yeah,
the
yeah,
dreamscape
yeah.
questions
Yeah,
going.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, good.
One of my takeaways from what you just said is because you don't really lose anything from trying it, it wouldn't hurt for everyone to try it. And also, if you're gonna try it for a long term. Let it be like
Right.
you after 3-4 years,
Mhm.
you decide to redeem your money or whatever, but at least try it, and you would know. That's one takeaway that I have.
Mhm.
But you tell me what you think.
Well, you said that you don't. I just yes, over long term, you gain, just usually gain, but you can lose.
Mhm.
Um, and it's really timing. But the whole thing of that's where the dollar cost averaging comes in, because they got some people that like to say, I want to buy the dip, right? So they talk about like when the market
Yeah, it's
is
low.
is
Yeah,
low,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
But nobody don't know exactly when the dip can happen. Nobody didn't know that Putin
And
was
how
gonna
long?
go on
And
like
how long?
and how
Right.
long
And
the
how
dip
long?
Right.
exactly,
There you
right?
go.
So you don't know how long the dip will happen. You don't know when the dip will
Mhm.
happen, and you might be holding off to buy the dip, and then
The best thing to buy
and
is
all
now.
you buying is, and then all you watching is like, well, they ain't seem to got in a dip. Like they just
Mhm.
seem to be up, up, up. So you holding out, and all this time you could have been investing,
Yeah.
Mhm.
because literally as it's going up, it means it's more expensive for you
Right.
to buy in,
Right.
right?
Hmm.
So where was I going with this?
So then wait, don't wait for the dip is what you're saying.
Definitely don't wait for your dip, because you don't know. So that's where the dollar cost averaging thing comes from. So for example, if you are going to say invest $150 every month or whatever it is, there's some months when that 150 will only buy you, I don't know, 10 shares or something. I'm just calling numbers. But then there may be some months if there's been a dip, that it might buy you 15 or 25 shares. So if you are doing that every month consistently, regardless of whether there's a dip or not, you are getting the opportunity to invest and to own more,
Mhm.
to more
Right.
shares.
Right.
If you're waiting for the dip, you might end up just pricing yourself out, because then it's like, I've been waiting for this dip and
It ain't happening.
ain't happening. So your money's still saying, no, they're earning 0.01%, and you have not bought into it yet. You're still waiting for this dip, and you don't know when it's gonna happen. And is this the lowest dip, or is it gonna drop some more next
Right,
week?
right,
It's
right,
a
right,
never
right,
ending.
right.
Oh, I see.
So
Yeah.
remedy that you let's say buy now.
Bye.
Buy, and that is what dollar cost averaging does, because over time it averages out, so that there are times when you would have bought on the high, and then other times when you would have bought on the low. So
Right.
that's where the advantage of that comes.
Okay.
But like we were talking about, there's some people who may not have the ability to do that, because they might be working project to project. So
Right.
that might not be something that they can do, but
Sensibly, at least.
at least right, because then they end up like, well, I gotta come back and get the money, and that don't make no sense.
Yeah.
So if you can,
You can hold this dollar for me. Okay, about this short.
I can ease back across here, no for money.
Right.
But then so their situation might be a bit different.
Yeah.
But in an ideal world, consistency is what really helps.
Okay. I think we learned a lot today. I want to know if the two of you have any questions. 'Cause I
I'm
good.
a believer, by the way.
I'm a believer.
Right.
I my wife bought mutual funds for me for my birthday,
Oh.
and it was the best gift.
Oh.
Yeah,
What a
yeah,
thoughtful
yeah,
gift.
What a loser.
No, because prior to that, I was just, and as a self-employed person,
Mhm.
I struggle to try to figure out, okay, what do I do?
Mhm.
And she's like, this is
Here.
what we're doing.
That is a good gift, though.
That was great.
All right.
That's good.
I'm hating.
So I'm sold.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
sold. I spoke with you about
Yeah, 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 yeah.
get around to you. But
No, I come in wrong.
yeah, but my I think it was my mother-in-law. She said, just set it and forget it.
Mm.
Just don't think too hard about it. Like,
No.
like there's not that much to lose necessarily about it.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Yeah.
and
just do
and
it.
especially when you start to hear markets have responded poorly, blah blah blah. The markets freak out, and then the markets just be like, oh, it hasn't happened.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just whatever, man.
Pandemic happened like March, markets just so boom, and then like when we were still trying to figure out what curtilage meant, the markets were
The
like,
curtilage of your home.
the markets had gone long. It was like, oh yeah, there has been a pandemic back in
Yeah,
March.
it's so it's just
It's very frivolous.
Yeah.
It's so like don't pay any
Fickle.
attention to that, because it's like that will just give you kind of heartburn. It don't make any sense.
Yeah, so set and forget is something that
Yeah.
Good
I
advice.
do have a question, and I do not know if it's a question I can necessarily answer.
I know.
Podcast.
Podcast.
This is something that it's not conflict, but like
Mhm.
I love an international news cycle. Again, backing back to the boy, I like to know
a good
that
Bajan term.
I like to know I read something in the news
Mhm.
and I like to legit go on look at the stock market and watch my prediction happen that I cannot do anything about because I do not know how to buy stocks in any of
Right.
these companies. So like, which might go to another 20 minutes if you do know. But like, how does one like
Mhm.
how does buy stocks? But what does that even mean?
That's what the investment team does. That's what they're qualified to do.
Right.
Can I
But-
tell you all?
Uh-huh.
Take my money and put it in this direction.
Nah.
No.
Okay.
So
Like-
what you can do is, I mean, if you want to know exactly which companies a particular fund is invested in, we can tell you. But I think there's only 70 companies in growth fund. Barbados, Caribbean, all over the world. So it is like exposure to multiple things. What I can tell you though is like our guys are what you call value investors. In other words, they're cheap.
Okay, go on.
So they don't get excited about the hype fund, like the hype stock. So like,
As
oh,
they
so
shouldn't. As
yeah,
they shouldn't.
exactly. They don't
Tested.
trending.
Mhm,
Yeah,
yeah,
they
right.
want tried,
Yeah.
tested. They want things that can consistently grow. That like
Right.
nobody really thinking about them, but like, oh, people's got a vacuum all the time.
Mm.
Vacuum cleaners have to be
Interesting,
sold.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You know, like
Okay.
that kind of thing, as opposed to like, this is the new trendy technology. Everybody is buying. What was the thing that everybody was buying to ride on during pandemic?
Segway. No, that's
the
no. My
pie-
God. You mean Segway things
Not the Segway things.
to ride on?
That the man died on in the first episode
Hello?
of. It was the strangest branding. The first episode of Sex and the City when it came
Oh
back.
no, I don't think. no.
Yeah, these are three
Um,
men.
Anyway, it was the strangest branding exercise because the this character died in the very first episode exercising on this machine.
Or the
The Peloton. There we go.
Yeah,
Right. So
I'm
like,
with you. Sorry.
Okay,
I'm sorry. No.
okay, so happy Pride Month to you. Happy Pride Month to you, my brother.
whatever. I don't know
Right.
what that has to do with anything. But so like that was trendy and like
Sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, please go, please, yeah, please.
I was just saying that was interesting branding
Okay, yeah,
exercise. And I can't understand why you would want product placement where the body is dead in the first episode, but they had a reason. But yeah, so like their stock was doing crazy stuff because everybody was buying them during
It
the
was
pandemic.
pandemic era.
They couldn't go out. They
Right,
were
right.
within the curtilages of
Yep.
their home, that kind of thing. Being interested in that, so
Okay.
cute and trendy.
Mm.
So, you know. GameStop. Remember when GameStop was like,
Yeah.
Can't forget
that
it.
was a big
I love
thing.
that.
Yeah, we
that
had-
was hilarious.
that was a joke. And like
Was it also? Some people did not make jokey money.
they did not make joking money, but like the people that like somebody like intentionally manipulated that. There was nothing to
Marcus
support.
Navigator.
There was
No.
nothing. There was nothing to support
Listening.
the growth of GameStop. Like the company wasn't doing anything different that was going to
Correct.
make it change.
Correct,
Right.
but that isn't that the stock market? Isn't
No.
this isn't at
There's a
some
name
point,
for what they did, and I don't remember what it is. But like, that's something that people actually intentionally
because they
sit down
just
and
held
do.
the stock. And then what is wrong with if I like this company and if the three of us
It's
invested,
inflated. It's not real.
but if I like this light and I like this company and the three of us like these lights and the three of us say we are not selling these stocks because we believe in these lights, what is wrong with that?
Nothing is wrong with that. But is
But
there any
that is
value
what
in
happened
it?
with GameStop.
It was more than that.
Was it? Was it?
Mm.
Was it?
The point I was making
Like
is that if you said you don't necessarily know which companies to invest in. If you
Mhm.
want to go and invest in GameStop or the people that made this late, whatever, you need to go to a stock exchange.
I will have to be retarded to invest in GameStop now. But yes, I get
Yeah, no, we
Or
we get
then,
the gist.
because again, that was
No,
also
or
kind
then,
of
yeah,
like
correct.
the
That's if it
people
had it.
that got in really early made money.
That's
After
if it
that,
had
it
it.
started to get stupid because then you had to buy the stock at that value. You didn't know if it was going to hold that value, and
It was
then when
not
it
gonna
dropped,
hold that
And
value.
bam,
exactly.
Barbados Johnson.
Right, right. That's a saying,
It is.
and I know where it's from.
Yes, I'm also.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ralph. Ralph Bergadone Johnson. Okay. Yes. But yeah, so like you don't need to know that. And that's why I want mutual fund to exist. Because I don't begin to know. I don't have the like stocks don't cost like nothing.
Mhm.
So, I can't walk up to somebody at New York Stock Exchange. First of all, you can't walk up. You'd have to hire somebody, an agent to do it for you. But I can't roll up and be like, yeah, I want stock.
I want
I want 10 of them. I want 50 of them. Give me
Give me
50.
that.
Give me 50 of them. It's like, oh, do you have the 600 times 50 or whatever it costs to buy one of these shares? So, but when we have money pulled from all these different people and
It
companies,
adds up.
it adds up, right?
Yeah,
It
I
make,
get
that
for
actually
sure.
makes sense.
I get
that
that
makes
for
sense.
sure.
That makes sense.
And then we also have the ability to invest in stock markets that are not necessarily here, because the Barbados Stock Exchange is a limited
What
exchange.
stock exchange?
It's a limited exchange at this time
Yes.
and
Okay.
for some
Give
time.
it that.
Just 3 white people.
Oi!
Timestamp.
Don't worry.
Oh.
Don't. I've been doing that for the entire.
Damn.
episode. Anyway, keep going.
Right. So
Oh,
yeah.
man,
So
that was doing so well.
so yeah. So then the mutual fund allows you to have access to all of those things without having to have that expertise, without having to have the capital
Right.
that would be involved in saying I'm going to invest in some company in Singapore. I know name about. So yeah. So our guys,
I
our
know
value
that
investors,
the-
they pursue companies that are going to be consistent in terms of their returns and their management of their money as well, and not like some fly by night company that's like all the
Okay.
exciting rates.
So
You
let me
know,
ask you a question,
Mhm.
if you don't mind. Who determines which companies we're gonna
the mutual fund investing
yeah.
on the investment team. So we have.
So this is something this is a democratic process, or this is just
I don't know if it's
Mm.
we
democratic.
trust Jim because Jim know what he's talking about.
Well, that's their job, so I hope that we trust Jim.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
interesting.
because we as the persons who are,
The investors.
the investors,
Mhm.
we are trusting
Mhm.
that y'all know what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And there's no real way of vetting it.
Yeah.
You understand? So
Mhm.
it's like, okay, we just need to trust.
Yes, I
Yeah,
mean
temporada.
we report to you like every quarter. We report and say this is what we have done with your money for the past quarter.
Okay.
This is what it has returned. These are the things that have happened. The quarterly report it lists like the top 5 holdings of the particular fund,
Right.
and it will say, well, this is what happened. Sometimes we sell out of a holding. We decide, yeah, things in this just ain't looking good. We rolling out of here, and that's reported. We don't necessarily report on every single trade or every single thing that we decide to sell out of. Major changes that will net us some more money, we probably will report on. But like I said, in one of the funds, there's something like 70 companies. So
So what's stopping me from taking more than Marcus' money and then investing it in a farm? And then sorry, go for it.
what?
Are you okay?
I was gonna tell you in the pyramid scheme.
And Marcus is the point where you.
Yeah.
I just ended up laughing.
Kim,
Mhm.
thank you for coming on the
This
show.
is wonderful.
You're
Yes,
welcome.
I know that many people are gonna appreciate this because there is a lack of education in terms of investing specifically.
That's
Yeah.
why I do it for Grantley.
Exactly. which
Which
will
you
bring
also
us.
watch, by the way.
Yes, which will bring us. Finally, we would say there are podcasts for this. We're not gonna always talk about money, but there is the Do It For Grantley podcast with Kim. She's gonna be there with her co-host, and they're gonna have guests, and it's gonna be all about spending,
Right.
saving, investing, and it is a podcast that you should really tune into.
It is.
Yeah, so you could give us the plug that, and we'll be good.
All right. So Do It For Grantley, we started that in 2019. And that really just came about because I got tired hearing people say, like, I would like to know more about investing. I would like to know about what to do in Barbados. And I listen to a lot of podcasts, period. So I was like, well, the only solution to that is to start a
To what?
podcast.
Right.
Of course.
Like, yeah, and people in my office like, was a podcast. And I listened to financial podcasts, but they're from overseas. So like nothing about them was necessarily, yes, there was some stuff that was applicable, but not everything.
Right.
So I thought, well, this is an opportunity not only to, and it's not only about Fortress or it's not only about mutual funds. We talk to people about like their financial journeys or their experiences, or particular topics. So we have like economists on,
Right.
entrepreneurs, different people to talk about some of the things that they've done and things that could be instructive to people in Barbados who are trying to figure out what to do with their money.
So where could people find it?
You can find it anywhere that you listen to podcasts. You can start with fortressfund.com. Our website is there. that's the one place.
Mhm.
You can find it on iTunes, Apple Podcasts,
yeah.
Google Podcasts,
Spotify. All the
Spotify,
podcasts,
etc., etc. Any of those places. There is some episodes are on YouTube, but we don't do video, at least not at this
Awesome.
time. Yeah.
Okay.
Kim, thanks again for coming.
This was wonderful.
Yeah,
It
it was amazing.
Yep.
And you'll be hearing from me very soon about me getting mutual funds.
Woo.
Coffee soon after me, I hope. And
So
many
next
of our
step.
listeners. Yeah. So with that being said, INO Podcast, we out.
Yo.
Thanks for watching the INO podcast, Information, Knowledge, Observation. Be sure to give this video a like and subscribe to our channel. We'll see you soon.